Welcome to this overview of program assessment at the University of Rhode Island, presented by the Office of Student Learning, Outcomes Assessment, and Accreditation. This video provides a high-level overview of URI's program assessment process and is geared towards faculty and staff and students who are new to university-level program assessment, as well as those looking to refresh their program assessment skills. This video is also relevant to both non-accredited and accredited programs, as they follow the same process when engaging in program assessment activities, even though the program assessment reporting forms they use may differ. By the end of this video, you will be able to situate program assessment within the broader context of URI's assessment activities, articulate the purpose of program assessment and its value, identify the steps in the program assessment process, and locate additional program assessment resources and support. Multiple people are involved at multiple points in the process of assessment. As faculty, you are engaging in classroom assessment on a weekly basis in order to gauge how well your students are understanding and applying course content and to monitor their progress towards the stated course outcomes. At the end of each term, you most likely reflect on what assignments and assessments seem to work well for you and your students, and what might need to be re-examined or adjusted to enhance student learning when you next teach the course. Just as classroom assessments provide teachers with an idea about students' progress towards meeting the key course outcomes, the primary purpose of program assessment is to give faculty insight into whether students in their program are meeting programmatic outcomes, with the goal of improving program quality. Program assessment also serves the secondary purpose of demonstrating URI's commitment to student learning to our regional accreditor, the New England Commission of Higher Education, or NECHI, which in turn provides an external assurance to potential students, their families, and employers that the university is providing quality education and is committed to student success. The Office of Student Learning, Outcomes Assessment, and Accreditation, also referred to on campus as the Assessment Office, focuses specifically on these latter two types of assessment. The mission of our office is to provide guidance and coaching for faculty-led, action-oriented inquiry about student learning at the academic program level to promote student success and achievement through outcomes assessment and continuous program improvement. More specifically, our staff collaborate with programs and faculty on the development of program assessment initiatives and research opportunities. We work with programs one-on-one and offer small and large group program assessment workshops, trainings, and events. We oversee the program assessment process, including the recruitment, training, and coordination of faculty peer reviewers. And our office provides leadership and resources to support our NECHI accreditation activities. All non-accredited and accredited degree-granting programs at URI submit assessment reports for faculty peer review every 2 years, per the program assessment policy endorsed and ratified by the Faculty Senate in April 2010. The 2-year cycle gives programs enough time to implement any needed changes to improve student learning and reassess the efficacy of these improvements. Programs are divided into 2 reporting cohorts. Cohort 1 reports in even years, and Cohort 2 reports in odd years. Because of our cohort system, URI is able to generate and share out a university-wide snapshot of program reporting efforts every 2 years.
I've been involved in the assessment process since its inception in about 2012. I did not come to this formalized process willingly. Internally, I was kicking and screaming. Externally, I was probably smirking and rolling my eyes. But I've come to learn that the assessment framework can be beneficial in crafting a program that helps the students.
I've been involved in assessment at URI since about 2007 or 2008, and I've taken the lead for our program, the anthropology program, in the last 3 cycles. So that means I've coordinated with my colleagues about what we're going to assess, I've scheduled the meetings, and I've taken the lead on writing the report. So anthropology is a small program. We've had between 4 and 6 faculty members since I've arrived. So we have always had the culture that this is a collaborative effort. And I think that's really the biggest strength of our assessment work, is that we meet together, we talk about what we're going to assess, we all read the student papers or student work that we're assessing. And although my colleagues have kind of varying opinions on assessment in general, I know that we all really value those discussions that we have, where we get to talk about student learning and our teaching and what we're doing in our classrooms. And for us, that's one of the most valuable parts of the whole process.
I think it's really important for people to keep in mind that assessment is something that should be useful for your department. And most departments are thinking about ways that they can measure the objectives that they have for their students, see if their students are reaching them, see if there are ways that they can change to make them reach them better. I know that departments are doing this internally because as language educators, this is what we do, right? And so I think that the trick is finding a way to figure out what you're already doing, how that can be translated into the assessment processes that we do for URI every 2 years.
Program assessment is defined as the systematic and ongoing method of gathering, analyzing, and using information from various sources about a program and measuring program outcomes in order to improve student learning. Program assessment sometimes gets a bad rap. Here are some common program assessment myths debunked. Program assessment is frequently villainized as an activity with the sole purpose of meeting the external accountability demands of accrediting bodies. In reality, the primary goal of program assessment is to help programs improve student learning and the program curriculum. It is intended to be a self-reflective process that programs value and find useful in their efforts to provide high-quality student learning opportunities. Program assessment is also expected from our regional accreditor, NECI. Program assessment is sometimes accused of impinging on faculty autonomy and freedom in the classroom. The reality is that program assessment is meant to be a tool to help faculty improve student learning. At URI, program assessment is a faculty-initiated and faculty-driven process. Your program decides which student learning outcomes to assess and when and how to assess them, and your program's assessment efforts are reviewed by faculty peers and feedback is provided. The assessment office coordinates this work and offers support and advice when needed. This may be less of a myth and more wishful thinking, but program assessment is often treated like an academic fad that will go away. In reality, there is every indication that assessment is here to stay. The outcomes assessment movement has been a serious one since 1985. All higher education accrediting agencies, including NECI, now identify the assessment of program learning outcomes as one of their priorities. You may have heard that the most efficient way to carry out program assessment is to assign one faculty member to be responsible for collecting and analyzing student work and writing up the findings. In reality, including a range of faculty in your program assessment efforts can be beneficial and speed up the assessment process. Programs that are able to support a team of faculty responsible for program assessment benefit from having multiple hands to share the work and multiple perspectives and ideas for improving the program. Assessment work is more likely to become a meaningful part of the program's culture if faculty collectively agree on the important learning outcomes, ways to measure these outcomes, what the data suggest, and what the results mean for program improvement. That said, we understand that each program has a unique combination of full and part-time faculty with different responsibilities, we highly encourage multiple faculty to be involved when possible. You may have heard that the feedback your program receives on its program assessment report is not faculty-driven. In reality, all program assessment reports at URI are thoughtfully reviewed by your faculty peers who offer feedback for your program to consider. Faculty peer reviewers are also involved in the development and updating of URI's program assessment report rubric and the development of program assessment reporting and training materials, including this video on the basics of program assessment at URI. Lastly, you may have heard that program assessment is about finding fault. In reality, program assessment is not intended to be a punitive process focused on finding fault with faculty, courses, or the program. Program assessment is about agreeing on what is most important to the program, communicating it to all faculty and students, and identifying what does and does not work. The program assessment literature has identified 6 qualities of meaningful program assessment. Meaningful program assessment should be guided by a research question or learning concern faculty have about student learning at the program level, such as the extent to which students are improving their ability to think critically about the core program content. It is also intended to be a collaborative process involving as many program faculty as possible, from collecting and analyzing student work to providing feedback on the program assessment results during faculty meetings and identifying next steps. Meaningful program assessment uses a clear, systematic action plan to guide the collection and analysis of student work, and includes student work collected from multiple courses, instructors, and/or types of student work to capture different dimensions of the same program outcome. Its results should be used to make purposeful and worthwhile changes to program policies, structure, and content. And it is conducted iteratively, assessing and reassessing program outcomes on a cyclical schedule. URI's Faculty Senate supports meaningful program assessment, having endorsed and ratified the university's program assessment policy in April 2010, which requires all programs to engage in regular program assessment activities, including the publishing of program outcomes on the program's website. Just like your classroom assessment activities and research projects, good program assessment follows an intentional and reflective process of design, implementation, evaluation, and reflection and revision. The assessment cycle begins with program faculty coming together to consider their program goals and student learning outcomes. Using the program's assessment plan as a guide, program faculty should begin their assessment work by identifying a research or learning question associated with each outcome under study. To learn more about this step in the program assessment cycle, check out the Program Goals and Outcomes video on our website. After your program goals and outcomes are articulated and a research or learning question has been identified, your program is then ready to determine which courses are contributing to the attainment of the program outcomes. The best method for making these connections is to use a mapping matrix called a curriculum map. Each course in the curriculum should be linked to at least one program outcome. The curriculum map will also help you determine which of your required courses are likely to provide the most appropriate evidence. To learn more about this step in the program assessment cycle, check out the Identifying Student Work video on our website. Once you have identified the courses you're going to collect supporting evidence from and the types of evidence you're going to collect, the next step is to collect and analyze the student data. Scoring a multiple choice test is straightforward. However, scoring assignments such as projects, papers, performances, or presentations can be much more complex. In these instances, using a scoring guide, commonly referred to as a rubric, provides the best option, as multiple faculty members can use it to score student work consistently. The next decision to be made is to set an expected level of student achievement for each of the program outcomes examined. Your analysis should include a comparison of expected and actual levels of achievement to look for patterns of strengths and weaknesses. To learn more about these steps in the program assessment cycle, check out the Collecting, Scoring, Analyzing, and Interpreting Student Work video on our website. The next steps are to draw conclusions about what you have found and then summarize your findings and make recommendations for change based on your results, including a time frame for implementing these changes. At URI, your program's completed assessment report then undergoes faculty peer review, who use a standardized faculty-developed rubric to score your report and provide feedback. Programs should use the peer reviewer feedback to facilitate conversations with their program faculty about their future assessment activities. To learn more about these steps in the program assessment cycle, check out the Reporting Findings and Using Peer Review Feedback video on our website.
I would have been better prepared for the assessment if I were aware that the significant benefits of the assessment are not in the details, but in the overall process. The best advice faculty new to the assessment program is to think big and not sweat the details. You are trying to improve the program to benefit the students, not trying to write a report. The report is a byproduct of the analysis that may serve as a roadmap for others. It is not the end product by itself.
Some of the things I wish I knew about the program assessment before being involved was, I guess again it comes back to that, how do we establish a culture within the faculty that this matters and that students' learning taking place in their classrooms could be better and we can always improve. Having a teaching background myself, and most of the faculty having teaching backgrounds themselves, they understand that you can always be better, you can always grow as a teacher, you can always be more effective, you can always change your teaching methods or your outcomes assessment practices to be more efficient and effective. So I wish I'd known a little bit more about that.
The advice that I would have for anybody who's new to the assessment process is to reach out. There's lots of people at URI who have experience with assessment. I'm sure you know people who are program directors or people who have had to participate in a program assessment in the past. They're great resources for what that process is like, and URI's assessment team is amazingly helpful and knowledgeable and easy to work with. So I encourage you to not get sort of stuck on the mental image of what assessment is like and be concerned about whether or not you can do it and what's all is involved, and just reach out to people because they're really helpful and really willing to work with you to help you understand the process, and they really want you to be successful at it. The goal is for everybody to do well at assessment and everybody to learn from assessment, and it's not at all about penalizing anyone or making your life miserable.
You may be wondering where to go from here. Here are some things you can start thinking about. Do you know which reporting cohort your program belongs to? Knowing this information will tell you when your program's next biennial report is due. Do you know who is responsible for the assessment of your program? It might be you, reluctantly or enthusiastically, or it may be a team of colleagues that you could connect with. Do you know where your program is in the program assessment cycle? For instance, do your goals and outcomes need another review? Or are you in the midst of collecting student work to score and analyze? How can you be more involved in the assessment process? Are there ways you can help your colleagues? Or are there colleagues who can pitch in and help you? How well is your program using the feedback it receives from our faculty peer reviewers? Are you using their feedback to make changes to your program to improve student learning and success? Or are you not quite sure how to use their feedback? In addition to the assessment office, do you know where you can go and who you can talk to within your department and within your college to learn more about program assessment? The Assessment Office team is ready, willing, and excited to talk with you about program assessment and answer any questions you may have about the topics covered in this video. You can schedule a conversation with us by clicking this link. The Assessment Office's website contains additional information on the program assessment process, including the on-demand modules mentioned earlier in this video, as well as information on program assessment best practices, URI's reporting templates and rubrics, and information about assessment-related funding opportunities. To find out which program assessment reporting cohort your program belongs to, click this link. We've also put together a quick guide for program assessment, accessed through this link. And if you're interested in talking about program assessment with a faculty peer, click on this link to find a faculty assessment mentor affiliated with your college. Our office is here to support your program assessment efforts. In addition to conversations with you or your program assessment team, we can also develop customized workshops and trainings and would be excited to collaborate with you on the development of new assessment initiatives and research opportunities. We look forward to connecting with you.